in fact, I'll say something about John Hoops and Flint Dibble in this context, which is that if individuals who define themselves as archaeologists find themselves spending more and more of their lives just attacking the work of other people, well, what archaeology are they doing? What uses? What have they contributed to human knowledge? When I look at Flint Dibble and I look at John Hoops, the answer I come to is virtually zero. They've contributed nothing to human knowledge. They're not going to make a mark on history. Nothing in the work that they've done is going to have any effect or any significance a generation or two from now. But they can make themselves significant by attacking the ideas of other people, especially if they frame those ideas as assaults upon archaeology.
What's your reflection on the debate that you had with Flint?
Well, I've finally got round to analyzing that debate. I've been very busy, as you can imagine, with making season 2 of Ancient Apocalypse, which went on, finalization of that series went on long after the debate in April, and I've not had time. But I did finally sit down to fact check Flint Dibble, and I've just put that video online quite recently, as we're talking, just a couple of days ago. What I've done is I've just compared the statements that Flint makes in the debate with the facts. I'm hardly injecting my own words into it at all. It's just important, I think, for people to understand the tactics that were used in that debate. I do think that Flint is a better debater than me, and I say that in the video. I do think he was better prepared than me. But some of the tactics that he used, I'm not going to define them here. I would prefer that people look at the video. So the video can be found on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to follow that up ultimately with the only talk that I'm going to give in North America next year, because next year is looking to be very busy. But I'm going to give a talk on the 19th and 20th of April in Sedona, 2 days of talks. I'm going to present a whole series of arguments called The Fight for the Past. And the link for that is up on the events page of my website. And I hope people will join me there. And I hope people who are critical of my ideas will join me there, because I want to open up to audience discussion in this. But I think my feeling was I felt quite beaten down after the debate. I felt that I'd done badly. I felt that I'd let my side down, my side being the alternative approach to archaeology. But as time has gone by, and as I've looked at the tactics that Flint used in that debate, and as more and more people have become aware of those tactics, I've realized that in a way it was a good thing that I wasn't the outright winner of that debate, because what it did was it showed to a wide general public the true face of archaeology, which is the skull behind the smile of archaeology, which is an archaeology that seeks to crush and destroy other people, to ridicule and diminish their life's work, to insult them, to humiliate them. That's what comes across in the debate that I had with Flint Dibble. And unfortunately, his kind of archaeologist is most vocal in the issue of attacking alternative views of the past. I think it's very good that the public got to see an archaeologist doing that over a period of several hours in a debate. And I'm actually quite glad that I didn't do better than I did. But I'm also glad now that I've had time to put the record straight with this video.
How has it been personally to spend such a long time being criticized so heavily from so many people?
Yeah, it goes back a fairly long way. My first book about a historical mystery was called The Sign and the Seal, A Quest for the Lost Ark of the Covenant. It's based on my years of experience in Ethiopia and looks at Ethiopia's claim to possess the Ark of the Covenant. I'd written many books before that, but they were entirely on current affairs issues. The Sign and the Seal was the first book I wrote about a historical mystery. None of my books about current affairs issues received much criticism. The Sign and the Seal didn't either. It was quite welcomed as an interesting story. Good Lord, could the Ark of the Covenant actually be in Ethiopia?
What is the Ark of the Covenant?
As the Ethiopians claim. Well, you've obviously not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark then. It's the Indiana Jones movie. It's the object that's described in the book of Exodus, carried on carrying poles, made of gold, wood and gold, with the tablets of the Ten Commandments supposedly inside it. I won't go into the long details of why it might be in Ethiopia, but my point is that book only got to number 6 in the bestseller list. And that seemed to be just a little bit below the horizon where archaeologists needed to attack it. But the next book, Fingerprints of the Gods, got to #1 on the bestseller list, not only in the UK, but also in 6 other countries, including Italy and Japan. It became a worldwide phenomenon. And that attracted the eye of Sauron from archaeologists who, even then in 1995, were very annoyed that the public were listening to me. And that's when I started to be directly targeted and attacked by archaeologists and by non-archaeologists who support the archaeological mainstream position. And those attacks grew increasingly furious and unpleasant during the 1990s. And I naturally began to feel quite annoyed about them myself, and I began to feel that I needed to defend myself against these kind of things. I couldn't just let it happen. So I can say that really I've been locked in a kind of argument with archaeology since the mid-1990s. And from time to time, they've got a big TV program to attack me, like BBC Horizon did a big so-called expose on my work in around the year 2000. There were some serious errors in the Horizon presentation, and it's the first time ever that BBC Horizon has been forced to re-edit and reissue a program. But those errors were there because the archaeologists behind it wanted me and my colleagues like Robert Boval destroyed, stopped in our tracks. Don't let these people speak because goodness knows they might mislead the public. And this is a problem that I have with this attitude within archaeology, which is an attitude fundamentally of disrespect towards the intelligence of the general public. I think sovereign adults should have the right to make up their own minds. They should have the right to explore alternative points of view. Those who are presenting alternative points of view should not be stopped from filming at sites where those alternative points of view can be expressed. It should be an open market in ideas, and the general public is quite intelligent enough to make up its own mind about which idea it supports and which it doesn't. I strongly reject the tendency within a small faction of archaeologists who nevertheless present themselves as speaking for the rest, and who the rest circle the wagons around whenever necessary. I strongly resent their notion that they somehow need to tell the public what to think.
Has it been frustrating for you as somebody who wants to focus on work, not perverse incentives, but the temptation to play defense for yourself, given that lots of accusations are coming at you, which then means that if you don't respond, the vacuum of response sometimes sucks in speculation or seems like complicity or, a lie through omission or whatever it might be. So this, do you ever sort of feel wistful for how much of your life has been spent this back and forth? I've heard you have this conversation a number of times with Joe. I've heard you do it directly to Flint. It's evident that this has been something that's got under your skin for a long time, and it's been poke continuously. But I think about how much time of both archaeologists doing the debunking and then I think what's now technically referred to as dedunking, which is the reverse of the debunking.
Debunking the mainstream, that's Dan Richards.
Yes.
His channel is called Dedunking. He's done some great work, and I'd like to give a shout out to another YouTube channel run by a guy called Independent Scholar. That's his handle. He's done some excellent. It's a very small channel right now, but it deserves to be bigger.
I like that dedunking word. But my point being that so much time of both established mainstream archaeology, yourself, and then from what I can tell, even parts of your psychology, maybe this anger predisposition has played into it a little bit, has been captured by criticism. Criticism capture in many ways.
It's made me defensive. Just take a look at a book that I published in 2002 called Underworld. It's about 1,000 pages long. It's got 2,000 footnotes. I wrote that book defensively. That book describes the 7 years of scuba diving that I and my wife Santha did to look at structures that were submerged by rising sea level at the end of the last ice age. But I made it a very heavy read because I was trying to bulletproof it against the attacks that I knew were going to come, and as a result, it's a much heavier read than most of my books. I don't feel I need to write so defensively now, but I do feel that I need to document and provide the source for every single statement that I make, so that I can't be accused of misrepresenting information. I'm aware that I'm surrounded by a group of hostile people who want to find any error or mistake in my work and magnify it into some kind of conspiracy that Hancock is involved in. Look, when the SAA wrote that open letter to Netflix, it took me a month to research and document my rebuttal to the SAA's open letter. And that rebuttal, part of it, I actually read out during this video I've told you about, but it's on my website. It's in my blog, a detailed rebuttal to the points that I make. So that was a month of my life that I could have been doing something much more constructive with, that I was spent immersed in each and every one of their criticisms to show that those criticisms are not based on anything solid. Yes, it's most unfortunate. Why can't archaeology be a bit kinder and a bit more generous? Why is it necessary for people who define themselves as scientists? I don't think archaeologists are scientists. I think they're I think they're like the lady who protests too much. I think that's a Shakespearean line. They desperately want to be scientists. But why should they have this power? Why should they have this ability to just use their authority to try to shut people down?
I saw an interesting video about pseudo-archaeology and how it's a dangerous gateway, basically that accusing you of being the beginning of a radicalization pipeline, because questioning the status quo and established theories in archaeology gets you very quickly into Rothschild and Blizzard people things soon enough.
Well, I think I was amused by my first season of Ancient Apocalypse being called the most dangerous show on Netflix in newspapers and by archaeologists. And I've never seen why that should be the case. And my rebuttal to the SAA's open letter makes that clear. Just remind, how did we get onto that point? I'm getting tired.
No, I was saying that what's it been like psychologically dealing with all of the criticism, and then there was this pseudo-archaeology pipeline into danger.
Oh yes, the idea that thinking for oneself about the past might dangerously lead to thinking for oneself about other things too. This has often been connected to the climate change issue. People said, my goodness, if people believe Hancock that we're wrong about the past, then they'll believe experts are wrong about climate change as well. And that's one of the reasons why it's seen as dangerous. But behind that is a notion that the public should not be provided with information that can enable them to make choices between different points of view. And I think that's the heart of a democracy. It's the heart of a democratic system, that we should have an open forum for alternative points of view. And rather than despising the public and think that they need to be told what to think by so-called experts who are archaeologists, we should trust the public to make up their own mind on information, and we should provide that information to them. And I don't think that's dangerous. I think what's dangerous is shutting that down.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Function. I partnered with Function because I wanted a smarter and more comprehensive way to understand what's happening inside of my body. Function has been an absolute game changer. They run lab tests twice a year that monitor everything from your heart health and your hormone levels to nutrient deficiency and stuff like thyroid function. They even screen for 50 types of cancer at stage 1, which is 5 times more data than you get on a typical annual physical. Testosterone levels play a massive role in your energy and performance, and being able to see them charted over the course of a year with actionable insights to actually improve them gives you a clear path to making your life better. Lab testing like this would usually cost thousands, but with Function, it is only $500. Function has a 300,000 person waiting list, but every Monday they open a few spots for Modern Wisdom listeners, and you can get your expert blood work analysis and bypass that 300,000 person waitlist by heading to the link in the description below or going to functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. That's functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, the full-length episode with Graham is available to watch right here. Go on, press it.